tuned into. Facts, transparency, results, process, authenticity, culturally competent, wise foresight, challenging, thought-provoking, clarity, unpacking, relatable, aware, present, proven solutions.
Controversial, witty, unbiased, intentional, black, sexy, sassy, fresh. Whatever we question, we will put to rest. Whatever you question, we will try our best. Before you get solutions, you gotta have the proof. We just here to talk about the facts and the truth. Relationships, sports, entertainment, or the news. Enzo and Tiana, baby, go through and talk it through.
Yeah, you already know who it is. It's your girl T.
And it's Enzo.
And this is Proof and Solutions. We at you today with a topic that's been heavy. A lot of weight is being carried by this topic, especially by women in the American society today. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to jump right into this topic. Is Roe Vs Wade.
Ooh-wee.
So
I would say you would definitely start this topic off.
Of course I start the topic off because it's that heavy. I don't even know how to jump into this topic. I don't want to preface it as I'm on either side for pro anything. I just want to talk about what's behind this. I think that's more important. So with that being said, what's behind it is women's accountability. And the way that I'll set it up is the choice is being assigned to the wrong part of the equation. You know, the slogan, my body, my choice, I think is being assigned to the wrong part of the equation, meaning that part of it should be asked before a life is involved. Before creating a life is involved, I should say. The my body, my choice, like it only in instances where it's not a choice. You know what I mean? Like in where it's forced, as in it really wasn't a choice. You know, it was against a woman's will. There was not consent there.
Right.
In which there should be, you know, options. But if we look back into, you know, society and historically, how Roe versus Wade came about to begin with, you know, that dates back to a time in which things were different. Things were different for women in society. Things were different for marriages and relationships and children, especially.
Right.
So the way that I'm coming from it is an unbiased position, a position where, you know, we're so sensitive because it's a woman's body and a life is involved, but there's no consideration as to how we got there. You know, how we get to that point where we're talking about whether it's justified to terminate life that begins, you know, before a certain point. It's a certain point that, you know, you can get to before you decide to make that decision. But should it be a decision at all? Or should there be enough accountability in situations where choice is involved that shouldn't even be a thought? Like, because what are we talking about here? Are we talking about being so selfish to the point where it's like, I'm not ready, or I don't like who I laid with, to be able to make that decision as to, you know, what happens to the consequences thereafter? Because you should know when you're laying down with a man, ladies, consensually, unprotected, or even with protection, nothing's 100% guaranteed, but abstinence, that it's a risk. And what life happens because of that decision is the responsibility of both parties, but more the responsibility of the woman, because the woman receives the seed. So that's where I'm coming at it from. Yeah, it's your choice, but it's also your choice to accept what's becoming to you for that to happen, for life to occur. So the accountability should start before sex, not after. Now, oops, now what do we do? And that option is no longer there. What does that mean for society now? Can you, speak a little bit on what you think, babe?
Yeah, I just think like God said, everybody has a free will. So if women came up with the idea, or if anybody came up with the idea of aborting a baby, it's their free will to do it. Let them do it. That's what I think. Now, the action, of course, is what I am against. So for me, I can't tie you know just because we got the free will to do anything we want to being actually pro abortion. It's weird even how it's explained.
Like, you mean pro-life versus pro-choice?
Yeah,
or
that's what I'm saying. That's the weird part about it, is like pro-life. I'm not pro-abortion. I'm pro-life, but I am like not finna be like women shouldn't have the right to choose if they want to terminate a baby. Now, of course, after that comes like, men need to have some type of right too.
What do you think that looks like for men, especially like you see right now? They're like, well, vasectomies are reversible, so men should just get vasectomies because women have to go through so much to prevent pregnancy, like birth control or IUDs and things like that are harmful to women's bodies. Do you think that it is an option, or should men start considering getting vasectomies until they're ready to have children?
Nah, I really just think there should be it's simple. It's just like when you do this, when the situation occurs, it just should just be communication. I mean, because now if we talking once again, we get into this conversation, the deeper we get into, it's almost like there's no, how can I say it? There's no, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't want to say like control over a woman's body, but we talking about the decision making. There is an equal control over that. If we both decide to do something and the outcome is this, in order for that action to have occurred, there has to be a mutual agreement. Because then if it's not a mutual agreement, what do we call that? If a woman just decides to be like, yo, okay, I want to have sex, but then just decides to abort the baby, is that like emotional abuse?
I mean,
sexual abuse.
In today's reality, I mean, are women and men having those conversations? Are we having those conversations to where it's just like, we're about to have sex. Are we both ready for a child if it happens? Or are you on birth control? Or are you going to wear a condom? In most cases, I don't even know what the nature of those conversations are, or if they're even happening. And if they're happening in a way that's making any difference in the way that men and women engage in sexual activity. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it should definitely be communication between man and woman because of, the possibility that they are creating a family together in any scenario. Mm-hmm. And I do think that it is some kind of emotional abuse, or, I don't know what to quite call it, but for a woman to terminate a baby without a man's decision because they both created the baby. So it shouldn't be one person's decision, despite the fact that the woman is the one that carries the seed. The man should have a say so in whether he wants, life for him after him to, be. But that's why I was saying, like, earlier, I wasn't saying like take away the choice, so that it's not there. If that's a woman's decision and you want to do that, you have to live with that for the rest of your life, that you did that consciously. That's up to you. That's between you and God. I have nothing to say. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, as far as if you're going to get to a point where you have to make that decision, why not make a decision before you have sex instead of having to make a decision after sex if you're ready or not? You should know before you have sex if you're ready or not. Because any woman knows that once you start menstruating as a woman, you're eligible to get pregnant. So if I know that and I'm laying down, you know what I mean? I should be prepared for the outcome. Now that's another point to say, in situations in where there was no consent, in which we're talking about forcible actions of, rape and things like that.
Right.
That's different to me. That's a different scenario in which you do have to consider the mental state of the woman and the life that may come from that situation and what they go through emotionally and what they have to endure, what to do with that life, when they do conceive, in those instances, what to do with that life.
Yeah, so that can't be the excuse. I think anything we can have a conversation about concerning pregnancy and women's hormones during pregnancy, it's like men shouldn't be the culprit for that. You know what I mean? We're just simply talking about the reality of having conversation and direct communication versus the actual action. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because once now people start making excuses for that's what it be. They want to put a title on any excuse that can be created. So they call it, I think, my body, my choice.
You think that's an excuse for
any? That's the thing. That is the excuse. That's the excuse. My body, my choice for everything you can try to throw at it. All you
for
gotta do
women
is say,
exclusively, though, because men aren't going around saying my body, my choice. You know what I mean? I've never heard a man say that.
Do you see what I'm saying? All of these things that be occurring, and here's the thing: stuff like that for me, it'd be like things that happened in the past. Specific people like to blame uncontrollable things on current humans, on current life. You know what I'm saying? Like uncontrollable things that happened in the past, they like to blame those things on situations that occur now.
Right.
But once again, there are things that are so detrimental to life that it should be talked about, though.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think the conversation should be had in relations. I won't say relationships, because a lot of times in which the scenario occurs where the question comes up, what do I do? I'm pregnant. What do I do? It's in a situation in which neither were prepared for that. You know what I mean? It's not like they were even in a relationship. Usually some odd scenario, like that's not really your partner. That's someone else's partner. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something behind it to why that's even the question.
It's another excuse. Like, come on now. Now, if that's the case, now we're walking around here blind or under some type of schizophrenia, some functioning schizophrenia. How can you not know anything you're doing in life? So it's just another excuse, because we're talking about a direct thing. We talking about two physical things have to conjoin together in order for something else to happen. And those entities are physical bodies. So anything
right, but we're not talking about the physical act of sex. We're talking about after the aftermath.
And you was describing two people who weren't ready for it.
No, I'm not describing two people who aren't ready for it. I'm saying in the scenarios in which the question comes up, what do I do with the baby because I'm pregnant, is because the pregnancy occurred in situations that are questionable, I guess is a better way to say it.
What questionable situations would that be?
In which people are just out here having sex without any labels or being in relationships or ready to be starting families, to where the man or the woman doesn't have a choice. You know what I mean? Where you're saying like there should be a conversation, there should be a choice. If we're just if we're just having sex, we're not having conversations about the choice and my body and who wants the baby, who's gonna, you know what I'm saying? We're not having those conversations. So why is it that it's a surprise that women are upset because now that option is gone when I don't have that choice anymore, when I lay down with somebody who I knew I didn't want to have a baby with, or I knew wasn't going to be there, or it was, you know what I'm saying? It was a drunk mistake, like you said.
Though I can't, that's the thing. I wouldn't be able to be like, it's an interesting conversation piece for the moment. Like, oh, yo, you got drunk and you did this. What are you going to do now? You know what I'm saying? When the moment happens, but, after it does happen, I'm sure you get to a moment where you're like, man, that shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? If you feel like you have to abort a baby because of that, then that's what you're thinking at that point. Like, that shouldn't happen because you're thinking about aborting a baby.
Right. So it's a mistake. So is that a way to buy out of a mistake then?
I think that's symbolism for people being careless and reckless and having an scapegoat. You know what I'm saying?
That scapegoat is gone.
It's gone now. So now what are we really saying? We're arguing on two sides of the fence that hold the same weight or the same, like both of these quote unquote sides are arguing the same thing, basically. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when y'all had it, y'all used it. But when you don't have it, now you're saying, oh, I want to use it because I want to cover up what I'm doing for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It should be a choice.
Weird.
It should be a choice because it's my body.
It's my body.
But then I don't know, is this like, if women are passionate about this topic or, my body, my choice, and the reason for abortions is like, just because I don't want to have a baby, it should be my choice. And if it's that, then it should be the same about sex.
Exactly. There you go.
You know what I mean? Like, it's my body, my choice. That's what I was saying, before you even get to the point of where a life is involved, where's the accountability for the sex part as to the...
Where's my body, my choice when you was having sex?
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's a better way to say that. Like, where was that when the... Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's not talk about if they're looking at who's getting these, abortions and what their scenarios are. They can't disclose that information. But if they were to disclose that information, that might provide a different side or reveal a different aspect to the picture, to reveal the reasons why. Because, you don't have to specifically disclose the reason. You know what I mean? It's just a decision.
And that's it. That's where it'd be like morality starts to kick in. Now we start talking about morality because, that's a message that don't have to be disclosed for medical reasons and privacy reasons, which is rightfully so. But then you get to thinking, why would this bill be overturned? You know what I'm saying? By the Supreme Court case.
Right.
Because ultimately it has abortion has nothing to do with anything besides accountability.
Accountability for sex.
Right.
For both men and women.
For both men and women.
Right.
It has nothing to do with just women. That's another point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, really, what is Roe versus Wade about? And it was if I'm not mistaken, a lie behind that law that was passed.
What do you mean?
Now, it's gonna be more controversy. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be more rumors on the internet that's going around. But
Right.
if this was so foolproof, why is it overturned?
Right.
And why is it based upon a lie? You know what I mean?
Right. Because here it is now that it existed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever happened to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it didn't exist. It existed.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got overturned.
It got overturned.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, you think like it has nothing to do with accountability, but if it got overturned, it's like, and it was a lie. It was based upon a lie. It was like, it's like supposedly now it could be about racial preservation, preserving a race now.
Right. Right. That's crazy because I heard,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember the source specifically, likely a TikTok video because that's what I'm getting on.
Yeah.
But it was like there was a person who worked at a clinic and saw some undisclosed sort of action happening at this. It was an abortion clinic, and where it would be closed from a certain period of time, but to allow like high society white people to have abortions during undisclosed hours so that no one knew, like secret abortions almost.
That's wild.
So it's closed off to the public, but here it is, you know, you and y'all, they come in all black cars, black tinted windows. You don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Because they like Ubers, basically.
Exactly.
Or personal drivers in their
right,
vehicles.
whatever that case may be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like, even that's what I said, behind what race is having more abortions. You want to put it on the black race, but we're not even talking about, we don't even make up most of the population.
That's what's weird about
so
this.
That's
it's
the
like,
crazy part.
And go keep on, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that's the crazy part. I'm just going to tie that into where it needed to be established as a law.
So so basically you're going into what the theory is. They're preserving their race, and while they're preserving their race, they're still able to have that perk of abortion behind the scenes if you have enough money, basically.
Right. And I mean, I suppose behind that would be, in today's world, that, you know, little Sally is sleeping with Derek and Daquan, and, you know, it's not just Michael and Caleb anymore.
Yeah.
So if it was to happen where, you know, Sally comes home and it's Daquan's baby, you know, and I have the money, why would I could, you know, and I care about class and I care about what people think about my family, that I could secretively make sure my daughter takes care of that. And at a certain point, they were also making their daughters claim rape on those situations in which it was consensual.
Yeah.
So just tying that into the racial factor as to, not only is we're not saying, you know, that white people are getting a majority of the abortions. We're saying there's no count, you know, for what I don't know the count to speak specifically on that. But what I'm saying is, to make it a law and then now to undo that, you know, for reasons that seem, and, you know, there's no reason really.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
and that makes it seem like what you were saying, a move for race preservation now, because by canceling it, who has to have these children?
But even then, it's like, you can't connect intangible, you know, like guesstimates and theories to preserving a race. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, preserving a race, you can't stop. that's really at the very core of that thought or that type of thinking
Hmm.
is like some type of polar opposite effect. Like what you're trying to say, like you should start killing off the other races because they're outnumbering you now. Like, you know what I mean?
Which
Like,
is ridiculous because, I mean, the number of outweighing is still
but it's
minute. Like,
just
it's
like
small.
if your race is declining, your race is declining.
Right, but
You know
still,
what I
they're the
mean? With
majority
that,
race. Like, even if your race is declining, you're the majority race.
right. So if your race, if this theory is what people are trying to run with, if your race is declining, then logically be real about it. Make abortion legal for black people and illegal for
They
white
can't do
people.
that in today's society. They can't do that. If they could, I'm sure it probably would. But to go back to a point that you said, the entire Constitution was written for the benefit of one race. Like, so it's not
Yeah.
even like when you go back and look at the creation of the laws, like you got to go back to when those cases were happening. Like, they're changing laws now, yeah, but minimally. Because of what? Because people are making noise about it. People are taking stuff to court because they've been lying on us and killing us for years about court situations in which we were innocent, especially black men, when it came to cases in which their women were sleeping with black men.
But I'm
So,
just trying to. But and we now while you're describing this, all of these things were for their own purpose. These women who
exactly.
were lying in their time for their own reasons. So it's like, yeah, we talk about all of these destructive things that white people have been doing to black people throughout American history. But that has no reasoning for abortion. You know what I mean?
Well,
Oh,
it's
Sally
the
wanted to sleep with Daquan. Oh, bing, abortion.
Yeah,
Like, you know
because
what I'm
I
saying?
mean, I don't know the history behind where it came from or who completed the first abortion. I haven't researched that.
Eugenics. That's what that comes from.
But
Eugenics.
I mean, as far as that goes, there are women who can't have children who would love to be able to have children. You have women that can have children but have the choice to terminate them or to give birth and give the children up for adoption. There's so many different aspects now, and they're saying, well, now that we have to have these children, having a child isn't always a good situation because the child could go without proper care, which creates then a child in need, which then creates a mentally ill child eventually. Like, just following the path of consequential pregnancy. Like,
I would say too, it's a reset because what you're saying, you guide me to places in this conversation, and you're guiding me to like some type of reset. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a reset for society's moral compass. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? Like, that's what I'm
If
thinking.
you see it that way, because some are
Yeah.
seeing it as like maybe the demise of society. Like, no,
It's a
this
reset.
this shouldn't have been a law to begin with.
Especially because women are the leader of culture.
Yeah, we established the status quo, whether women
Yeah.
want to admit it or not. But we literally have that much power because the men are the leaders. But who do they give all their leadership to? Women. So we holding it down.
Yeah.
And we're establishing, like you said, that culture. We're holding that, and we're the ones leading the line with the flag.
So it make you think the psychology behind that in women when they are mad about this is what then? What are women? What do we look at women like that? How are we looking at women like that? Are we like, yo, something wrong with you? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's one of them things again. We like,
I mean,
something wrong with you.
You can tie it to a mental capacity because mentally every woman doesn't think about this topic the same. Mentally every woman isn't in the same place too.
So is sex some type of like, what do you call it? Is it a prone based thing where nobody can control themselves. Oh, I'm just gonna fall into sex. Boom. So now we have to deem that person psychologically ill.
No. I mean, sex
Because-
is a natural act, but
Right.
there is a mental capacity to have at when you should be partaking in those acts. Like, can we both sit here and say that it is okay for, although some young women start their menstrual cycles at as young as age 9 and 10, and little young boys are producing sperm at usually around ages of early as 13, usually around there.
Okay.
Is it okay then for 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds to be having sex just because their bodies are capable of that act? Or should we be teaching them that this is preparation for something that should occur a little bit later in life?
I think sex education class is a great class, especially when the parents know. But ultimately, the parents automatically have that right. And children, are already, like I heard this person say before on a TikTok video. I heard this person say, children, what you remember that saying? Children are already inclusive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Children are already inclusive.
They're already inclusive, like through the family. You know what I'm saying? They already know about what they know based on the family, right? So
Right.
you don't have to force it. You know what I mean? So yeah, when it comes to like teaching that type I don't know. Teaching that type of stuff to children is anything that isn't natural to our already established physical being.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to teach it to the public. That we gotta think about it. Abortion is like some medieval scientific experiment gone wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at that type of stuff on cartoons and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at that type of stuff. Like, why would you even
as a cartoon? That's an interesting.
Not like as a cartoon.
You mean
but,
like it seems surreal?
It seems so surreal where you would put that in a movie, but we're so advanced,
right?
And we're living in reality that we're not thinking of it like as if like somebody else looking in on us is like, oh, that's weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's how I look at it. Like, if to celebrate something like that as like to be mad about it, it kind of exposes that to me. Like, you're part of like the weird experiment that's going on.
Right. Yeah.
Man
That's that's a great aspect. It brings me to think about that gap in between finding out that you're pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not having the technology to have an abortion performed properly.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, in which case there were acts, and I don't know if they were what they would have called it at the time, maybe witchcraft, of performing procedures or some sort in which it resulted in a sacrifice of life. It seems like it seems almost ritual in nature, almost. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm saying I don't know what it's tied to, but it does make you think of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now in today's world, we are so accustomed to our level of technology, that we have, that it seems like normal. Like, oh, girl, you get pregnant by him, you don't want his baby, go get an abortion, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It seems like something that we could just talk about like that. But
exactly. If it wasn't no technology, mugs would be like, go down the street and get you a ritual going or something.
Right. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie For Color Girls, in which, it was a scenario in which there was a woman performing them outside of a medical or clinical environment. Very unsafe procedure that could result in death even. And I don't know that it's not an enjoyable procedure. It is a painful procedure from you know, what
and
I'm hearing.
You wanna to touch on that. It makes me think about this. That scene, right? It makes me think about women can't be so gullible to a man that they have sex with him and couldn't, like, you know what I'm saying, and just gave up their bodies to a man based on some quick instant emotions of butterflies, and then they
Right.
portray the man like he's just going around,
Right.
you
Like
know
the
what I'm saying,
monster
the
in the
monster in the
situation. Right.
situation, just boning women, getting them pregnant, and they going on about their business. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's how this stuff be painted. And if that's the case, then women aren't being raised correctly. Who's raising these women? So at this point,
Yeah.
or men, at this point, now what are we talking about again?
We're
Now we
talking
need
about
to
the
really,
same foundational problem, which is who's raising these children from a young age. Like, how
yeah,
do we get to this point to where we're talking about, is it okay to take a life in any circumstance or situation just because it's my body?
but is it okay to go out here and have sex just because a man made me feel like I was something that he said I was? Think about that.
I agree that
Are we
women
really
should be more, how do I put it?
more s- strategic,
No, I
more
don't think strategic.
self-aware,
Self-aware. To be more self-aware and to be understanding of men, like
observant?
observant. If fathers aren't in the home, mothers should be teaching their daughters about men, not just about how to be a woman, but how to be a woman in a world with men.
Discipline. Well, I think when we talk about discipline, we be speaking on discipline like it's some type of, it's like it's some form of like religious, you know what I'm saying, practice or something. No, discipline is, for me, it's just simply not doing things that are wrong. You
Right.
know what I mean?
It's
Like,
having a moral and
it's
a
having
value.
a guide. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a
Like,
guy. Yeah, a guy that you can pass on to the next
yeah.
generation. Because I mean, and even thinking about when we were younger as children, like when I was younger, the way that I thought about family.
Right.
Even though it wasn't what I saw, like, I didn't grow up watching my mom be a wife. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
still wanted to have a family and to be a wife and to do things like what I saw, like to have a husband, to marry first, to have children, to do things in an order that worked for me, for my life. It wasn't someone telling me, what I'm saying, how to live my life. It was what I wanted for myself, even at a younger age. So when I was older, I was going after that. And I was explaining to you before, like having conversations with my peers, other young women. Every young woman wasn't on that same page from a young child. Women grow up differently with different mindsets about how we want to live our lives.
And we weren't, at that time, we weren't understanding. They were real live reflections of their household.
Exactly. And just like me
We
being
ain't that stupid as humans, y'all. But
right,
go ahead, baby.
being a reflection of your household doesn't have to be just because this is what I see, this is what I have to be. Like, you're going to school still. It's just like, most of the times, are you paying attention at school? Are you learning at school? Because they do teach you just basic fundamentals of people skills. Not even if you're not that smart, just go for the people skills. You know what I mean? Just get you some social skills to be able to pinpoint when you're getting played, to be able to pinpoint when someone's lying to you, to be able, you know what I mean? Just to be able to hold your own, especially if you're not getting taught that at home. Get it from somewhere. There's so many programs and opportunities out here for us to incorporate this type of thinking and knowledge into our youth. Like, there could be more, way more. I 100% think that. But for right now, for those who aren't getting it in the home, I don't think that can continue to be the excuse either. Because if that's the case, we're never going to be able to resolve the parenting issue.
Exactly. So now we have to not fix a baby making crisis. Now we have to really fix who's making the babies making.
Exactly, because it's babies having babies, like they're saying, and that's so true because of the mentality of the men and women that are having children.
Having children, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just the reality of it. We don't want to face that because now, here we are. Now it's like now we're trying to like kind of like do a what do you call that? The demonic possession, where you do a certain
exorcism.
Yeah, it's like now we talking about exorcism or something,
right?
Because now we got to dig into the morality of your conscience,
right? Which I mean, before you sleep with someone, you should.
Yeah,
and
like,
I mean,
that's
honestly,
the point, right?
And you wonder why there's a parenting crisis. Yeah, because we're just at a point where parents aren't parenting, so kids aren't learning in the home outside of school. And like I said, when you're at school, you choose what you pick up from school and what you leave. Or if your home situation outweighs what's happening at school and you don't have that extra support coming from anywhere, you will succumb to your environment and be a product of your environment. It does take a different type of mindset as a person, not just a woman, but as a person, given your background, especially as Black people, because we know our backgrounds are oftentimes we come from the hole in the wall. We got to climb out of the hole in the wall, but sometimes some of us get stuck in that climb and things do happen in which we wish we had an opportunity that was different to where we didn't end up in situations that we did.
It was detrimental,
right,
and
exactly.
I just through my experiences in life, basically I always made sure of things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So nobody's perfect in this life. But for me, I know one thing's for sure. If from the time I was born until now, everything that I, touched was real. You know what I mean? We can't deny that the physical reality around us is real once again.
Right.
I have to work extra hard now to reassure myself mentally and spiritually now.
Right.
Because I know for sure, you real, you fine. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My wife is beautiful than a mug. But when we be on that spiritual thing, it's a tougher battle.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And like, I'd be more excited, to hear you say that part of me is more beautiful, because the outside reflection of beauty is fleeting. And it will fade over time as I get older. I plan to stay in, looking fine for as long as I can. But it's just a matter of understanding that even as a woman, I'm growing spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Just because I'm a woman, I can't say I'm a woman, I'm emotional. I was born in March.
Right.
So the way that my moon is and my sun is set, I can't help sometimes how my mood is. No, I take accountability for every attitude that I give you.
Right.
For what I'm saying? I have to acknowledge that, hey, this is why I did that. And I'll come explain to you why I did what I did, helping you understand my mind as a woman. And you just understand, like, okay, you are a woman, you are emotional, but I'm not going to allow that to be my pit. Where I stay stuck. I'm not going to stay stuck and I'm just emotional. I'm a woman.
There you go.
Like, you have to grow from that,
Facts.
even as a woman.
That's a fact. Yeah, I definitely understand that. And that goes for men too. Now, when it comes to me personally, if we're going to hit the direct my body, my choice, well, we have to have a version of that for men as well.
Right.
Because we can't just be sitting up here, my body, my choice, but yet there's still babies out here and what do they call them? Foster care and all that. And
right.
What they used to call orphanages.
Yeah,
and
orphanage.
Stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah.
my body, my choice don't matter for nobody at that point.
Right.
Because it ain't about you.
Right.
It's about the actions, and therefore, because your actions aren't free of consequences.
Right.
We have to look at it like it's a real
And that's the
mathematical equation. Go ahead. Man.
Consequences. Like, no one takes time to think about consequences in the moment. And that can go for anything, not just sex. That goes for just any decision that you ever make. Yeah. Some people are acting on impulse. And just like, you can't blame anybody for your impulsive decision making but yourself.
But yourself. Exactly.
Right.
So, that's how I look at it, Now, if I was to say what would be that solution for the opposite of men? Well, if we're going to give women the my body, my choice, then we have to, for me, it's simple. We have to deny contraceptives and stuff like that. So we can all already be like, okay, we're having sex. So how about we just overturn the Roe versus Wade, but not call it Roe versus Wade and revamp it now.
Right.
And just say, look, if you want to have unprotected sex, now it's your body, your choice, but you have to have proof that you had this conversation with the man you had sex with.
Right. So they have to sign off.
If y'all both sign off, then you have an abortion.
Okay. So that is the decision of both parties.
Exactly.
I understand that, I think that that's an interesting way that it could go. But for me, I would want it to be even better than that. I think that the accountability should happen to where you have to sign before
you even have sex.
Before you have sex.
Yeah.
Like, you want to start having sex, NDAs. You have to go talk to your parents, both of y'all.
Right.
Unless y'all of a certain age, which we can come up with the terms of that age. But get permission.
Yeah.
And then present that, and whatever happens between that, both parties are accountable for. And I don't think that it should exist at all, because you knew the four terms of what you were getting into.
Right.
And as far as for the instances of where it's forced or, it's not consensual.
Rape.
It's
a real word.
There are things that exist before the point of where the pregnancy is known or occurs. If a woman is raped, immediately she should report that. Immediately. Don't wait. Because how are you pregnant and unknowingly and then terminating the baby? No, you would know. But because you didn't tell nobody, you let things go on, you didn't know. But you have to stop being so afraid and go get that help. Go get that whatever they're going to give you. They're going to take care of you. You know what I mean? They're going to give you a plan B. They're going to check for STDs and all that. They're going to do that. But if you don't tell no one, then that's how you're in a position where you have to even consider an abortion. So to me, even in situations of rape, it still doesn't have to be that terminating life has to be an option.
It's no excuse for rape. Women who are victims of rape. Why? Because men get raped too. It don't just have to be in normal everyday life. But
and men can't say go terminate that baby right now. But you raped me.
But they still don't tell nobody though.
They don't.
So,
but even if they did tell somebody, think about it. And think about the double standard of this situation. If a man was raped and a woman gets pregnant off of that rape that she did to that man, and he can't do nothing.
I'm not even.
He can't do nothing.
Men can get raped by women and men, just like women can get raped by men and women. But except it'll be obviously a woman getting raped by another woman would be something with like
Right. That wouldn't even factor into the equation though, because life can't produce from that unless there was some sick shit going on.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
But because rape for me is simply just
it's non-consensual.
Non-consensual
between just one party.
What is it? Intercourse. Non-consensual intercourse. Or anything that enters your body is non-consensual. That's rape.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But that's what I feel about it. Anything else you want to talk about, baby?
I mean, no, as far as where society is with this is an opportunity for all of us to sharpen our mentalities, to become aware, especially women. Especially women is so important because right now that it is where it is overturned, you don't have that option.
Don't even have
So
that
you
option.
have to be so careful to prepare yourself for situations that you're getting into with men, and to protect yourself from situations you don't want to be in with men, and to open your mouth to when you're in uncomfortable situations with male supervisors, friends, whatever the case may be. Like it's time for women to stop being so afraid of what's happening, to the point of where we're in situations of non-consensual physical touching, sex, anything. It's just like this is an opportunity to become aware and to strengthen ourselves as women, and for each other to band together even more. Like where's our togetherness in this as women? We shouldn't be split on either side for this either. Like I'm pro-life, I'm pro-choice. Oh, why are we taking sides against each other in a situation like this?
And for men, I feel like, because once again we try to sweep the men under the rug like they're not a part of this. That's the crazy part about my body, my choice. Y'all acting like men aren't a part of the reason you're screaming my body, my choice. You know what I'm saying? So for men, I think what we can do is hold ourselves accountable. We can't just be, if we're gonna be leaders, we can't lead with deceit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And manipulation. We have to lead with honesty and truth. We have to lead with character, strategy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
We gotta lead with what we would want our children to be raised up in life as. Like, we gotta live like that and be an example to the youth and to the women.
Definitely.
Because women, yes, I feel by our nature, women want to be loved. So if that's the vulnerable state of a woman's nature, don't take advantage of that.
Right.
I've never taken advantage of a woman's nature like that. The only thing I've taken advantage of a woman's nature is not being the will of God for the both of us. Having sex outside of marriage. You know what I'm saying? And that's wrong. You feel what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But that's a mutual thing that we all have to understand, that we just have to hold ourselves accountable and be leaders. Be real about our actions with each other. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
Stop lying and stuff like that. And
women too.
Yeah. So
yeah, that goes for both men and women. We both have a lot of work that we can do internally, so that we're better for each other. And like, let's stop the debate and the war between men and women. We need each other. Facts. On either side of the board. Like, men can't live in this world without women, and women can't live in this world without men.
And that's a fact. I don't even think we I need to talk about the proof and the solutions. We already talked about the proof, and I think we spoke on the solutions.
Yeah, we definitely spoke on solutions overall, and the proof is right before our eyes. It's headlining everywhere right now. You know what's going on, but what are you gonna do about it? What kind of leader are you gonna be for society? That's what we're asking right now, because you can choose a side, but where's your foundation for that side?
And I think that's all, folks. Yet again, I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves, enjoyed the conversation. We hope y'all learned something from it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take care.